This is Say It Louder, the place for discourse, and this is episode 5. We got quite a few things to talk about, but the first thing we got to talk about is the event last night. We had Tank fighting. He was up in New York at Barclays. They said he sold the second largest gate behind, who was that? I think it was I don't remember who it was, but they said he had the second largest gate since Barclays' opening. And the next highest was back in 2012. So 13 years later, all the people that have been through there, Bad Bunny, whoever that first person was, and Tank sold it out, which we expect. You know, Tank is a big draw. He does quite a few numbers. It's between him and Canelo who's the face of boxing. They say he's the face of boxing for American boxing, United States, right? And Canelo is arguably one or two. You could say whoever is one or two, but for me, it's going to be Tank. I'm not really watching Canelo fights like that because he's not fighting the people I want to see him fight. Man, you could say Tank's not fighting the people that we want to see him fight either. Anyway, let's get on to who he did fight, which is Lamont Roach. This is special for the DMV. I live in the DMV. I've been here for 21 years since I was 10. So I'm familiar with Lamont Roach. I'm familiar with Tank, of course. Baltimore is about 40 miles outside of the city. I'm familiar with the Gary Russell family, who was also on the card. Antoine, he did a phenomenal job, man. He did a phenomenal job. He fought against Rayo Valenzuela. That's somebody that I've been following since he was in the camp with David Benavidez. So that was a fight that I was looking forward to. I didn't know who was going to win, but Gary Antoine Russell absolutely put the pause on Rayo Valenzuela. From the opening bell, but that's his style. From the opening bell until the 12th round, when that bell rung, he was standing up in his chest. That's what he does. He likes to get in mid range and or short range, and just put that pressure on you, put hands on you. The entire Russell family is known for being pretty quick, and that's exactly what we saw. So we saw that from Gary Russell for 12 rounds, getting in that mid range, the short range area, and putting a pause on him, putting a pause on Rayo Valenzuela. He ended up becoming the champion. I think he's at 140 or 147. I can't remember. We had some fight. I don't remember who fought between Gary Russell and Tank. So I'm going to skip over that one. But Tank fought Lamont Roach. Like I said, a special fight for the DMV area. There was quite a few people that traveled from this area up to New York to see it. I saw it on a couple of people's Instagram feeds, on my Instagram, my personal Instagram. I said on this channel, like, I don't watch basketball, I don't watch football. Boxing is one of the few sports that I do watch. And the reason why is I got into boxing around 2016. I was in the gym religiously from 2016 to 2019. Then I kind of went away. And then around 2021 to 2022, I was back in the gym. So I absolutely do follow boxing. I've seen Tank fight, actually. When I was in the Army, he fought up at the DC Armory. And I think Mayweather was there. I saw Mayweather there. I saw Tank fight for the first time. So if you ever see him at the DC Armory, I'm familiar with the entire building. I know where he was getting ready. He was warming up. That was the building that I worked at when I was in the Army, like I said, for about 12 years. I've been long-winded about this fight. Let me get to what I thought about the Roach and Gervonta Davis fight. From the opening bell, we know that Tank is pretty slow to warm up, right? He said previously, whatever his warm-up routine is in the back, it's not as robust as he needs it to be. So we expect Tank to kind of take his time warming up, 3, 4, 5 rounds. They're going to be throwaway rounds. That's how long it takes him to really get into a rhythm. Of course, all the time he's downloading information. He's throwing the jab, seeing what you're going to do. He's giving you feints. He's seeing what you're going to do. He's seeing his distance, if he could touch you, how you respond to the things that he's doing. But we don't really expect Tank to warm up and start really putting pause on you until after about the 5th or 6th round. And then what happens after that usually is somebody's going to sleep. They're going to stop the fight. That's usually what we expect. That's not what happened when he fought Lamont Roach last night. From the opening bell, Lamont Roach was absolutely putting on the best display of his career. When I saw him fight Jamel Herring, I thought, okay, Tank is going to do his usual routine. He's going to have a little bit of back and forth in the beginning, and then he's going to knock Lamont Roach out. What I was telling people was they were going to start the fight in the 10th round. I thought it was going to be a TKO for Tank in the 10th round. That's not what happened. Lamont Roach was boxing his ass off. Everything that Tank was giving him, he was giving that shit right back. Tank was hitting him, Lamont Roach was countering. Tank hit him, Lamont Roach caught it, shot something back. It was beautiful. The entire time I was watching the fight, I was on the edge like, yo, is he going to knock Tank out? Is this going to be the first time that we catch Tank going to sleep? But it went all 12. And for whatever reason, somehow, Lamont Roach lost that fight. I don't know what you guys saw. I know what I saw. I saw Tank take a knee. I saw Tank repeatedly get knocked upside his head. And of course, Lamont Roach was getting knocked upside his head too. It was a back and forth for the entire 12 rounds. So I told my wife as the fight was ending, I think this is going to be a draw. Did I think Roach did enough to win? No. Right? You got to take the belt from the champ. But I don't think that Tank did enough to win either. And he took that knee. And there's some controversy about whether it was a knockdown or not. If Lamont Roach wanted to win decisively, of course, Tank is the cash cow of the sport. He's got to knock him out. He's got to get knocked out by Roach. That didn't happen. Because Tank is the cash cow, because Tank didn't get knocked out, they're going to call it a draw in order to keep Tank's record where it's at, right? This is boxing. This is the sport of boxing. This is why people call it corrupt. This is why people are always saying that they need to have some sort of justification for why the judges give the scorecards that they give. So as the fight ended, I didn't expect that it was going to be for Lamont Roach, but I think he did absolutely put hands on Tank more than we've seen anybody else do, more than Isaac Cruz did, more than Rolly was trying to do, more than what Ryan Garcia was trying to do. Lamont Roach absolutely gave Tank the most work in a professional fight that anybody's given him. And after this, I think Roach is going to have the opportunity to go to Riyadh season with Turkey and get a check. I don't think that Tank is going to give him a rematch. That's just not something that Tank does. We didn't see him give Isaac Cruz a rematch, right? Like, granted, he beat Isaac Cruz. He broke his hand or he did something to his hand during that fight. But people said it was a little controversial about whether he won or not. He immediately moved on. I don't think Roach is going to get the opportunity to go back and redeem this draw. But this is a sport of boxing. At the end of the day, it's a job. You're here for a check. Of course, you want accolades. You want to put your name in the history books. Most people do. Tank said he don't really care about that. But most people want to put their name in the history books. And that may be the case for Roach. But at the end of the day, the sole purpose is to get this money to take care of your family. And I think the performance that he put on, especially when people didn't expect that performance, he's going to have the opportunity to go somewhere and get a nice check. It's not going to be in a rematch with Tank, but, you know, the doors are wide open. He could fight Shakur. He could fight Rolly. He could fight Keyshawn. I think Abdullah Mason is at 135. There are opportunities for him to get out there, put his name out there, and get another chance to shine. The last name we're going to touch on before we wrap this whole Tank and Lamont Roach fight up is Tank said that his stylist put some grease in his hair. That's why he took the knee. You know, he couldn't see. Look, man, this is a professional fight that people came to see. There are rules. If a glove touches the canvas, if a knee touches the canvas, that's a knockdown. So I know we talked about it a little earlier about whether we could, we said earlier we could debate on whether it was a knockdown or not. We can't. It's a knockdown. Every fight that I've ever seen, for whatever reason, if you touch the canvas with your glove or your knee, then that's a knockdown. But Tank didn't get a 10-8 round there, and they ruled it a draw. We're not going to see another opportunity for Roach to fight Tank in that capacity. But that's okay. As long as he goes on, he gets his check, he gets an opportunity to fight for another belt at some time and become a champion, then I think, in my opinion, I think that's enough. Now we're going to move on. I got to talk about Fetty Wap, man. I was watching YouTube and I saw a new video about Fetty Wap that was saying that he blew through $22 million in a year. I'm not entirely sure how much money Fetty Wap made over his entire career, but they said in 1 year, 365 days, he blew through 22 million on himself and his entourage, basically all his homies, all the DJs that he was traveling around with. And you guys know I do a little bit of pocket watching. I love talking about money, and I couldn't believe it. As successful as Fetty Wap was, I couldn't believe that he blew through 22 million in that short span of time. And then in 2020, it said that he turned to selling drugs, and he got caught up in a case, and he's serving 6 years. I knew he was serving time, but I didn't know at the time that he had blew through all of that money. Literally tens of millions of dollars within a year. And it just goes to show how I've said on this channel before, past performance is not an indicator of future success. You have to be careful. You have to be mindful about what it is that you do with your money. He felt like he needed to take care of all of these people that he grew up with, all of his family, all of his friends. So he's spending money on them, not only to bring them along with him, but also to like help invest in their businesses and just give them opportunities. And because of that, he wasn't taking care of himself. He said that he even got advice from Taylor Swift early on in his career that she has accountants and all of these people to help manage her finances, to have some checks and balances to make sure that she is not the sole decision maker when it comes to spending money. And for whatever reason, he negated all of that advice that she gave him. He decided to forego all of that financial advice that Taylor Swift gave him. And as you can see, not only have their careers turned out differently, but their finances seem to be completely different as well. He squandered tens of millions of dollars within a year, ended up having to sell drugs, traffic drugs, and he's serving a 6-year bid. He said he felt like he needed to do something because he didn't want to be embarrassed by people knowing he didn't have money. He wanted to keep up the image. You want to keep up an image so bad that you put yourself in a situation where we know what the consequences are. You name me one person that you know that's been a successful drug dealer that has no charges. And then you got this huge name. You already got a spotlight on you from being Fetty Wap and you're trafficking drugs. It's not a good look. Once you become famous, once you have a name, and anybody, you got to hang that stuff up, man. You got to hang it up. You can't be out here trafficking drugs, having a national name, having a national spotlight on you. We've seen one-hit wonders, people come and go. People come into the entertainment industry, whether it be professional athletes, whether it be actors, whether it be rappers. People come into entertainment, make a lot of money up front in some instances, right? Like this instance with Fetty Wap. And then they burn out. They burn through all of that money in such a short amount of time. I don't understand how we repeatedly see this story and we repeatedly have people that are not being careful with their finances. Where are the businesses? Where are the investments? Right? Everybody doesn't have to buy stocks. Everybody doesn't have to buy real estate, but you got to do something, right? You could start a business. You could buy a business. You could partner with somebody on a business venture that they're doing. And he tried to do that. He tried to do that with a friend of his. But just like Jay-Z said, Jay-Z said that one of his cousins came to him, asked him for a $5,000 loan, and he was going to turn it into $1 million. Jay-Z turned around, told his cousin, nah, business doesn't work like that. So while Fetty Wap, right, he may not have had the business acumen to know whether this was going to happen or not, whether his friend's business was going to be successful, he had the access to get financial advice on where to put his money, what to do with his money. It's hard to feel bad for somebody that had so much money, so much potential, so much opportunity, and then they turn around and do something like traffic drugs, right? You squandered all of your money buying. They said in this video that I was talking about on Blackie Speaks on YouTube, and if I clip this, I'll put it down in the show notes. But in this video, he was talking about how Fetty Wap at one time was spending $10,000 a month just on car insurance. That's not his properties, which he bought one in a bunch of different cities that he was going to perform at because he didn't want to get hotels. But he was spending $10,000 a month just on car insurance. What cars did he have? Did he have like a Koenigsegg, Ferraris, Bugattis, whatever he had? He spent about 3 or 4 times what the normal average household makes in a month, a household, just on car insurance. My question is, before he got to the point of trafficking drugs and all of this stuff, whatever he was fully into, right? I don't know what was going on in the man's head. Was there a thought like, maybe I should get back into music? Maybe I should partner with some people, try to get a loan, something. How do you just go from making tens of millions of dollars? Granted, his money dried up, slowed up during the pandemic. You're not outside performing. But where are the other avenues that you've built through being famous, through having access over the years? How do you go from all of this money, all of this opportunity, all of this fame to where you're at? I don't know. Do I think Fetty Wap can come out of prison and get back into the entertainment industry? Do I think he could come out and make music? Yes, I do. Tory Lanez is literally in prison trying to make an album, trying to make a mixtape, whatever he's trying to release. And I know we're not supposed to talk about Tory Lanez and all of this stuff. I'm not supporting what he did, right? What he's accused of doing, what he's convicted of. I'm just saying that the guy seizing his opportunity from where he's at and the condition that he's in, he's making music. And I think that I can see the same for Fetty Wap. He made some excellent music. I think that he can come out and start collaborating, partnering, leveraging some of the relationships that he built in the entertainment industry and make some music, do some coaching, something. I don't think that he needs to come out and go back into what he was doing. There's some level of involvement that he can have in the entertainment industry, even if he gets into like podcasting like T-Pain did. Right? There's something there. There's something he can do. But that's yet to be seen. I think based on when he was arrested in 2020, he should have another 2 or 3 years and he'll be back. Now, we got to talk about something a little more serious. It's not that serious, but we're going to talk about it anyway. How has the Democratic Party fumbled its opportunity and its leadership with the people so bad that Stephen A. Smith, because he's had a lot of political opinions over the past couple of months, how did he become somebody that we're looking to be a candidate? I know that we're addicted to celebrity culture, but this is ridiculous. This guy, I'm not saying that he's not involved, but we have career politicians that at least should be ahead of Stephen A. Smith, right? How do you go from talking about LeBron, what he's doing on the court, off the court, his family, opportunities that people in sports are doing, to having the opportunity or being cast into the forefront of the Democratic Party? What is going on here? Are we so out of touch with reality that we can't find anybody else to push the agenda for the Democratic Party? We have to start pulling people off of TV. Now, we pulled somebody off of TV before. That would be President Trump. He was on The Apprentice. So it's not unprecedented for America to pull somebody off of TV and make them president. I think there was another, I think it was Reagan. I think Reagan was an actor as well. So it's not unprecedented. But Stephen A. Smith is not the guy. And he said that he's not going to run, even if he's nominated or whatever. Even if people think that he should run, he's not running. He said that's not his political, that's not his agenda, right? He's not really in the political sphere. He just has an opinion. And that's my opinion. You guys got to look for better leaders. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. When the next election comes, I'm just going to vote for the person that has my family's best interests at heart, based on whatever it is that they're campaigning on. But Stephen A. Smith is not our guy. Or it's not you guys' guy. Whoever nominated him in that poll, he's not the guy. You got to move on. You got to find somebody else. While we're on the topic of politics, let's talk about President Trump and J.D. Vance having Ukrainian President Zelenskyy. I forgot his first name. It's like Vladimir or something. He visited the White House on Friday. This was embarrassing for the United States. I see a lot of chatter online about how Trump and J.D. Vance were kind of bullying Zelenskyy or whatever. I did see the clip with J.D. Vance. He starts talking to Zelenskyy. Zelenskyy is trying to interject. What's embarrassing about this is you have the vice president being called out by the president of Ukraine. Zelenskyy says, "Don't tell me what's going on in my country in this war. have you ever been to Ukraine? He invited J.D. Vance to come put boots on the ground. J.D. Vance is a Marine veteran. His response is, I've never been to Ukraine, but I've seen the videos and I've read the articles. As the vice president of the United States of America and as a Marine veteran, that's embarrassing for you to tell somebody that your opinion is based on what you've seen in videos and what you've read in articles instead of your first hand account from going to put boots on the ground. You should know better than to rely on this third party experience to tell you what's going on in a war. I'm not the president. I'm not the vice president. I'm not even in politics, but we do know that the media could put a spin on things. So saying that you read it in an article or you saw it in the video as a response to somebody telling you not to comment on their country's strategy on war, it's unacceptable. It's embarrassing to the United States. And then for you to turn around and interject while that president is speaking and ask him, have you ever said thank you to the U.S. for what we're doing for you? That's embarrassing. The Republican Party and conservatives talk a lot about how Democrats are soft and they need to be handheld and they need, what they call them, safe spaces. The conservatives have that talking point a lot. But while you're talking to the president of an entirely different country that's dealing with the war, you ask him, have you ever said thank you? Have you ever just looked us in the eyes and said, I appreciate what you've done for me? That's embarrassing. What I didn't like in that conversation, though, I'm not shooting Zelenskyy I'm not shooting him any leeway. He said to President Trump, you'll understand when war comes to your land. You have an ocean in between you, but you'll understand soon when war comes to this country. I didn't like that. It sounds like you know something that we don't know. Like you know that something is coming down the pipeline for the U.S. and you're privy to it and we're not privy to it. I'm not a fan of that. I think that Zelenskyy needs to watch his mouth, especially when he's on U.S. soil, especially when he's in the Oval Office. There's too many people on Twitter, on social media, backing what Zelensky's saying, oh, we like what he did. We like what he said. No. We may fight within our family, within the United States. When somebody else comes over here talking shit to us, that's a no-go. That's a non-starter for me. There's never going to be a time when I side with another country over what we're doing in the U.S. Never. Because if we have a problem, just like a black family household, we'll talk about it internally. But you can't talk shit about my brother. You can't talk shit about my president. And you can't talk shit about my country. We've talked numerous times on this channel about Dank Demoss. I have 2 videos that I've done about her. I did a video on her initial interaction with the Lyft driver. I did a video on her interaction with the Breakfast Club. And now we have to talk about the fact that she lost her lawsuit. If you haven't been around, I'm going to catch you up. I'm going to give you the cliff notes. We don't have to rehash every single thing that happened. You have this rapper from Detroit, I believe. Her name's Dank Demoss. She pulls up to a Lyft. She tries to get in the car. The guy says, hey, listen, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but you're a little too big to get in my car. There's not enough space for you in the back seat. She says, what do you mean? He says, well, look at you and look at my back seat. You're not going to fit there. She says, do you do this to every fat person? He said, yeah, I do. I tell them to get an Uber XL. She said, no problem. She filed a lawsuit. Then, shortly after, she is a rapper. The Breakfast Club is a platform for hip hop media and black culture as well. She goes up there, and while she's there, they offer her a seat. She says, hey, that seat is too small. Do you mind bringing out a wheelbarrow or an entire sectional? Can you be just a little more accommodating? Because I'm very wide and I don't fit in any of the chairs that you guys already have here. So that's what they do. They bring her an entire section of a couch. Already, this is going to fuck up your lawsuit. The guy said you can't fit in the back of a car. You said you could, but you need a couch to sit on instead of a chair. So she goes through the interview. Time passes and her lawsuit comes up. And she loses. They said, hey, you're not getting any money from this, you know? Look at your interview on the Breakfast Club. It's obvious that you couldn't fit in the back of this car. So in order to keep her name buzzing, once that storyline dries up, she also says that she's doing OnlyFans and she's making millions of dollars. What is going on? This lady is 580 pounds. It's time to start shaming you niggas. Why are y'all subscribing to her OnlyFans? All the shit that people talk about online about big girls and, oh, women need to look like this. What are you guys doing? Okay, if you're into that, you know, there's a few guys with that type of fetish. Where's the audience for her to make millions of dollars? Either she's lying or you guys have some disgusting fetishes. I'm not trying to stop her money. I'm not going to stop her money. I'm just a little voice on the internet. I got 527 subscribers on YouTube. But we've got to get back to shaming people. We got to shame her for being 580 pounds. Maybe we could get her to drop some pounds like Lizzo. You know, get her in a little better shape. But we got to shame you guys too. Because subscribing to her OnlyFans is only encouraging this behavior. I think that's where we're going to end it for today. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you guys for rocking with me. Like I said, this is episode 5 of Say It Louder. This is the place for discourse. So if you have something to say about any of the topics that we covered, absolutely leave it down in the comments section. Tell me what you thought of the episode. Tell me where you think I can improve, because I want to bring you guys the highest quality content that I can. And till next time, peace.